Okay, hello. We are here with Graham McCabe, who is based in Sydney and is the Director of Transport Advisory at URBIS. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Yes, and we have been chatting for a bit, and we are recording this segment to do a walkability rating for Sydney. It will be the first one at Pedestrian Space, the first Sydney rating we have done. So this is kind of fun. And it's really interesting to do it with you because you are familiar with all three modes that you're going to be rating, the public transit, the extensive work you do, as well with cycling and walkability. So I'm really looking forward to hearing what your ratings and thoughts are going to be. We do the ratings on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest, 10 the highest, walkability, cycling, and public transit. So I will let you choose what you want to start with.
Let's go with public transit.
Okay, so what would your rating be?
Look, I would say it's probably around a seven, tending towards an eight. We have a really good regional rail. We have one metro line, two light rail lines, about to have a third. We've got an amazing ferry network, so for anyone who comes to Sydney, go for a ride on a ferry on our beautiful harbour. And we do have really good bus networks with high frequencies, even in our more suburban areas where there's still buses every 20 minutes or so. So it's good and it's getting better, and we're currently building three additional metro lines to help with the city's growth.
That's fantastic. And I see one of the very nice looking light rails behind you there in Sydney. Looks great.
Yeah, that's the CBD and Southeast Light Rail, which was opened in 2019, and it runs for about 15 kilometres from the centre of Sydney into the inner southeastern suburbs, and connects the city with our major sporting precinct and also one of the major universities.
Okay, so that's a really strong rating. I want to ask also about accessibility issues. So people in wheelchairs, strollers, obviously that light rail looks extremely accessible across the board. Access is pretty good as well.
It depends on the mode. So the light rail and our new metro system are 100% fully accessible. Our rail system, we've still got quite a number of stations that aren't, and we have platform gaps and height issues. All our trains and stations do have ramps for people with mobility issues to get on the trains, but a lot of them still don't have lifts or level access. All our buses are either kneeling or have ramps on them, but a lot of our bus stops don't have, they're not sealed, or they don't have footpaths leading to them, or shelters.
Okay, so those are things that when improved will probably pull that score up as well, correct?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So there's a requirement under our national law that all bus stops have to become all bus stops and train stations have to become accessible. But in New South Wales, which is the state that Sydney's in, we have around 40,000 bus stops that need to be upgraded. So it's a long process.
Okay. Okay, what are you going with next? Walkability or cycling?
Uh, let's go with cycling, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. So cycling's a bit of a mixed bag. We have in inner Sydney, probably about a third of the way through building a high quality protected network. Um, so I'd probably give that a, a five. In other parts, unfortunately, there's still a lot of what we call traditional old-fashioned treatments. So, uh, you know, the styles of bicycle lanes where you're actually in the car door area, or, or nothing at all. Um, we do have a very high cycling participation within Australia, but it's really mostly um, recreational rather than everyday transport or um, commuting. So outside inner Sydney, it's very much for the, the fearless people who feel safe riding on roads. Yeah, so outside inner Sydney, I'd probably give it a 3 at the moment.
Okay, and I know you're playing a very instrumental role working on those new paths and networks.
So that's something that I started back in 2006 and took through to 2010. So this is in the City of Sydney council area, but it took almost 13 years for that to become broader policy around Greater Sydney. But there's still, instances of um, people installing the old-fashioned um, Australian or American traffic engineering approaches to provision for bicycles. So we've still got quite a long way to go.
Okay, and rounding off on walkability.
Uh, so again, bit of a mixed bag. The Sydney CBD is quite good and becoming even better. So the street that's in the background, George Street, that was partially had sections closed to cars when the light rail was opened, and then during COVID, decision was made to pretty much close the entire street to cars, and even the small sections where cars are still allowed. There's so few of them there that you can um, pretty much um, wander around freely in those sections. Um, as we get into the inner areas, everywhere's got footpaths, accessibility. There's still some issues with that, with wheelchair and pram ramps. We have our traffic signal timing has very high cycle times. So if you want to cross a major road, you generally have to wait a long time. There was one thing that was done during COVID, which is something that I advocated very hard for, was you have to push a button to get a green man. So in a lot of parts of Sydney, particularly around hospital areas, um, that was turned off, so you didn't need to do that anymore. Um, Most of our suburban areas have footpaths on both sides of the road, but the priority for pedestrian gets lower and lower the further away you get from a CBD. Uh, but we are, as a whole, implementing frameworks which are trying to prioritize pedestrians. There's a very large push at the moment for 30 kilometre hour speed limits in local areas. So at the moment, our residential streets generally have a speed limit of 50 kilometres an hour, which isn't great for walkability or just street play and things like that. So we'd yeah, I'd probably put us at about a 5. It's not particularly dangerous, but not particularly great.
Right, okay, that's fairly comprehensive, and I think you already listed all the issues that, when improved, as the city, as you said, is starting to prioritize pedestrians more, we can maybe see that improve. over the coming years. That's great. So thank you for this. It'll be interesting maybe to come back in a bit in the next year or something and do a follow-up. And I'm also very happy to be welcoming you to the Global Walkability Correspondence Network. I think the network will really benefit from your expertise and viewpoints from Sydney. So thank you for your time, and I look forward to more dialogue.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for your time.